Vision Australia.
Blindness,
low vision,
Opportunity.
With our new approach for promoting meaningful participation in life and preparing our children and young people for future employability, one of the key factors is the development of social skills. Okay, Karen, so why is socialisation so important?
My first message to parents is recognize that those social skills are the most important skills your child is going to learn. And I think many parents and service providers, frankly, families, get sidetracked thinking that the most important thing in life is to go to school and get a good education and focus on those academic skills. Or they're thinking, well, the most important thing is safety and making sure that my child is safe and making sure that there's no issues in terms of the environment and the dangers in the environment. And what I want to share with you is those are very important concerns. It's important for you to pay attention to academics and to safety concerns, but they're not as important as social skills, because ultimately it's those individuals who learn how to communicate effectively with other people, learn how to get along with other people, learn how to participate in life with other people who are going to be successful. Work, volunteer work, any kind of contribution that you make to society is a contribution that you do in conjunction with other people, because it's a big group of people, this thing called society. It's a large community, this community of friends and family who live near us and around us. And to be successful in that community, other people have to like you. And other people only like people who are socially appropriate. We may sometimes tolerate for very short periods of time socially inappropriate people, but we don't choose to be with them. We don't bring them into our homes. We don't bring them into our workplaces because they're not comfortable to be around. And parents, you are the ones who are going to be there for the lifetime. You're the ones who are there in the beginning, you're the ones who are there in the middle, and you're going to be the ones who are there when these young people grow up and live happily ever after. They're going to need friends. They're going to need colleagues at work. They're going to need other people. We all need other people. I think we've done a great disservice, in truth, to parents and kids when we talk only and exclusively about independence. You've got to be independent, you've got to be independent. And parents, you're going to fall into this same trap where you're going to be saying to your kids, you need to do that independently, you need to do that independently. What I want for children, what I want parents to understand is that the goal in life is not to be independent. The goal in life is to be interdependent. To be successful, you need other people. I don't do everything in my own life. There are always going to be these kinds of things in life that come up where you want to hand it off to someone else. That's the goal for your children. That they will grow up, that they will have partners in life, that they will have people with whom they can share their responsibilities so they don't have to do everything themselves. Your children are always going to have certain bits and pieces, not a lot, but bits and pieces, that they cannot do independently because they can't see. They're never going to be able to do some things. It's okay, they don't have to. They just need to learn how to make friends with other people so those other people can do those things, and the things that they are really good at doing, they can trade off and do in exchange for other people doing things for them. Work is the perfect example. Successfully employed blind people are people who have connections with other people that work for them. And those connections with other people are what enable them to be successful, because those people, if they like them, are going to help them on the job. They're going to show them what they need to do. They're going to take the time to demonstrate skills that they may not have ever used before. And they're going to be willing, if they like them, to trade off. So if I've got a piece of the job that I can't do because I'm a blind person, I need to find someone who's willing to do that, and then I can do something in exchange for that. But it's only going to work for me if people like me, if they are friends with me. So this social piece is critically important because we all need other people. And those other people are the ticket to success.
So Karen, for a parent of a young child, what are some of the tips? What are some of the things they could do to start them off on the right foot?
I think the most important thing that parents can do from the beginning is to help them understand that there are other people out there and who those other people are and how we need to engage with them. So kids need to learn from their parents, learning how to smile, learning how to orient towards other people, learning how to ask good questions, learning how to listen carefully. Most moms and dads are already familiar with the basic social rules, using the social amenities, please, thank you, excuse me. Insist that your child who cannot see uses those same social amenities. Please, may I have, thank you very much, that they not fall into the trap of thinking it's okay, I don't need to say that because everybody is already anticipating what I need. No, 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 no. They have to follow the social rules. So teaching them those basic social rules, talk to your children. Describe to your children what you see those other children doing, what you see happening out there in the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What are the other kids wearing? How are they doing their hair? What games are they playing? What tools are they using? Your kids need you to paint a picture of what that social milieu is like. What's going on? They need you to describe for them and to show them the toys that these other children are playing with. They need you to guide them in the rules of social engagement, how long you can talk before it's time to listen. They need you to guide them in terms of what am I allowed to talk about and what am I not allowed to talk about. You're going to want to teach your children some of those basic gestures, how to wave goodbye and hello, how to nod yes, how to nod no, how to do the thumbs up sign, how to position yourself in space so that other people want to be around you. That's what parents need to do. They need to teach the skills of social engagement that sighted kids are seeing in the world around them.
So sometimes you get like questions about, I'm trying to help my child by doing those things, but then at the same time, people are saying, well, you shouldn't hover and you shouldn't be the helicopter parent and you kind of have to let go. Do you have some hints around that?
Yeah. I think that what happens is that because sometimes we are doing this nonstop description, we fall into a pattern where we don't know when to let go or when to back off. The rule of thumb that I would share with you is set aside time in your busy, busy lives for discussions with your child about what's going on in the world. But when there are natural opportunities to mix and mingle with other children, try not to be there. And put your children into situations where they're with other kids, where they have that opportunity for a natural social involvement. To not jump in and try to make things work that aren't working. See if your child can problem solve these social situations. And if the child gets into trouble or doesn't have success with their approach, keep that information until you have this designated time for discussion. And talk to your kids about, I noticed today on the playground when you were trying to get that kid to play ball with you that it didn't really work very well, let's talk about that. What could you do differently? Is there something that you need me to do or want me to do to help with that? Or do you just need me to stay where I am in the background because I don't want to interfere? I want to give you that opportunity to do this kind of problem solving in the situation, but I also want to support you. So I think it's that balance. It's learning as a parent when to intervene and when not to intervene. And what I would share with you as parents is your inclination is always going to be to help. Your inclination is always going to be to jump in and do for the child. And what I want to share with you is you need to give your kids the opportunity to sort it for themselves. You need to give them time to respond appropriately to other people. You need to give them time to try an approach and see whether it's going to work for them or not. And if not, bring it home, talk to your child in private about what worked, what didn't work, and encourage them to go at it again and try to put them back into a situation where they can re-experience it, if you will. So one of the other things that I really want to mention here is that sometimes as parents, you're going to be in situations where your child is doing all the things I've talked about and operating just beautifully, and then someone, either one of the other children or another parent, will say something to you like, "What do you think he wants to do next?" Or do you think she'd like to do this? Where they're suddenly talking to you about the child who is right there. And you need to try to redirect that energy over to the kid. So when someone says to you, "What does your child want?" or "What does your child think?" you need to say, "What do you think, Trish?" or "What do you think, Laura?" or you have to redirect back to the child so that that other child or that adult recognizes that he or she needs to speak directly to your child and reinforce that social rule, which applies to other people as well as blind and visually impaired people, that when you want to speak to someone, you need to speak to them. You don't talk about people who are right there as if they are not there, whether they are blind or sighted.
It goes the other way a little bit too, doesn't it? Where sometimes as a child with vision loss will have a conversation, not putting into context who's around them.
Yeah, and I think as parent, that what you need to be checking on during that downtime with your kiddo is, were they paying attention? So you may want to ask some questions like, who else was in the group? What were their names? Who was sitting beside you? Who was across from you? You may want to affirm that they have in fact been paying attention. Is my child picking up on the cues? Is my child paying attention to who's there and what they're doing, and engaging with those other people appropriately?
And I was thinking, Karen, when you were talking about a family that I work with, and this child is at that age where the key thing is going to parties and having play dates. And this mum, very insightful, very aware of what her child's strengths are, but also what her child's needs are. She said, "I think what the problem is, my child is not being invited to all of these events because other parents don't know how to include my child in the party, in the play date, so they just avoid asking them, asking them along." And she said, "I know that that's really hurtful to my child, and I'm a bit hurt by that as well, but I feel I need to maybe start contacting these parents. Is that a good idea?" And I went, "Brilliant, that's an excellent idea." So it's like that, almost coaching another parent in how to include their child.
I think that's exactly what has to happen. Children don't get invited because those other parents are afraid or concerned that they won't do the right thing or say the right thing or have an environment that's accessible, because they don't know what that means. And so I would have done exactly as you did. Say to that parent, absolutely, you're on the right track. Talk to those other parents, meet with those other parents, engage in activities where those other parents are going to be. You know, if it's swimming at the pool, anything like that, where you are with those other parents at the same time as your child is with their children, and you can chit-chat and you can share how your child engages in these kinds of activities without vision, what they do differently to find the steps to the pool or to find their way in an environment that appears to be inaccessible to someone who doesn't understand the techniques. I always encourage parents, make your home, as much as you are comfortable doing so, an open home. Invite other kids in, invite their parents in to see that your child is more like them than different, and make sure that you have out games that those other kids are going to want to play, devices that those other kids are going to want to play with, movies that other kids are going to want to watch. Make sure that you have available the cookies so that your home is where the other kids want to go. And that's what you need to do to bring those other kids in, and to have their parents come into your home to see that it's not a mystery, it's just different. That's what those other parents need. And if they don't invite your child, and there's a pattern of not inviting your child, I would encourage, as you did, reach out to those parents and ask the question, is there something that you're concerned about? And I'm worried that perhaps you're concerned about the blindness, or you're concerned about the environment, or you think my child wouldn't enjoy it, and so that's why he or she wasn't invited to this activity. Can you help me understand what is inhibiting this inclusion of my child? Because usually they will share with you that they are afraid for some reason that your child won't be safe, or that your child won't be happy, or that your child won't be participating in the same kinds of games or the same kinds of activities. If you can assure them that he wants to do the same things and be with those kids, maybe then they will be a little bit more open to the idea. Sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay too. It's just, as parents, I think you're in that same sort of situation that the kids are in. A lot of times you're going to have to do the initiating because the other parents won't. They don't know what to do, and so they're going to choose to do nothing. So if you can jump in, intervene, try to figure out what is keeping that kiddo out of the environment, out of the party, that will help them, I think.
Karen, you've mentioned pre-teaching children in previous sessions. Is that an example of where you might pre-teach a child what to do at a birthday party, for example?
It's the perfect example of where you can do some pre-teaching, where you show the child what the activity is, how it's going to work, what the blindfold. They don't even need the blindfold maybe, but they're going to have to wear the blindfold because everybody else has got to wear the blindfold. At these birthday parties, they're all trying to hit the piñata. And this paper mache animal usually that's suspended, right, from the tree or a pole, and all the kids have a stick and they're whacking away trying to hit the piñata so that they can get the treats, right? That blind child needs to know how to hold the stick, how to orient towards where the piñata is. Someone needs to tap, tap, tap on the piñata so that they can hear the sweets rattling about inside, and then how to point the stick toward the piñata, not toward the other children, not towards the adults who are at the party, to focus. And that's a pre-teaching moment where you can help your child understand this is the activity that's going to happen. You need to be prepared, because wouldn't it be wonderful if you could hit the piñata and get the sweets to drop down? That's always going to be to the child's advantage. Anything like that you can teach them in advance of going into the group or in advance of going into the party is to their advantage.
And that the rule of that, as far as I understand, with piñata hitting, is that you get one go and then it's the next person's
Right.
try. So if you miss it, sorry, that's your go. It's the
That's
next
right.
person's go. And it's explaining that in advance so that that's another social rule thing about the game. Yep.
Exactly, Nat. That you're not allowed to whack away at the piñata until you hit it, because all the other children are going to be totally furious with you that they didn't get a chance. You've got to teach that rule about turn taking. And it's the same rule all the way through life, isn't it? We take turns at games, we take turns in conversations, we queue up, we wait in a long line for our turn to come up and do whatever it is that we need to do. And that's the rule. And children who are blind need to understand, if you break that rule, you set yourself apart as different and not like the other people. And that's what kids need to understand. It's not okay to always go to the front of the queue or to get to whack away at the piñata 5, 6, 7 times just because you can't see. Because you're breaking a basic social rule that's going to set you apart from those other people. And that's the detriment to those kids who take advantage of those kinds of opportunities.
Vision Australia.
Blindness,
Low vision.
Opportunity.